tell you if and when the Rolex and Patek bubble will pop, or will be. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Hey, Jason. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Trading Desk. My name is Joshua Thanos, and this is my good friend,
Jason, man.
Inigo Montoya.
AKA.
There you go. Hey, so today we have a pretty fun show for you. Some things lined up, and we discuss probably something that's more important to most of our clients than anything else. But first, what's on the wrist? J-Bone.
Wrist shots.
What you got, bro? Something different, yeah?
I liberated the non-date from the watch box. Believe it or not, I haven't worn this in almost 2 months now, I think it is. So I got that Anti-Digi Breitling Emergency at first, was wearing that, and then I got the Polar for a couple weeks, and then, so yesterday, I was looking in the watch box, and I figured I'd pull this out since I haven't worn it, and it's still a great piece. This is the 114060 Rolex, what people want me to just call Submariner now, I guess, because people say there's no such thing as a non-date.
Screw that.
You know what? I call it a non-date. If you don't like it, you call yours a Submariner. So this is the non-date. Mm-hmm. Just great proportions to the dial. I prefer this over the date. I've said it before. 40 millimeter case, wears really well. It's got probably the best bracelet that exists on a stainless steel sport watch, in my opinion. And if you don't have one, I think you should try one. Give it a try.
Yeah, that's
if you can find one.
Right. That's like your 10th
That's what
Rolex?
we're going to talk about on this show. If you can find one and justify the bubble.
There you go. All right. And what do we got here? So I have my Panerai
action.
002. It's an A serial, hashtag 2A. I have it on the newest addition to the Panerai setup, which is the new blue croc with like a faded yellow, like a patinaed stitching, a little pin buckle. I like it. Matches the watch. I haven't worn it in quite some time because my watch collection has been growing. It's actually been growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking, and now I think I have what I believe is kind of like a perfect collection for myself. Maybe we'll talk about that next show. But yeah, there you go. That's my Panerai 002. It's a base model, and if you want to know the history of this watch, you can watch my explanation on the Classroom episode that I did. Yeah, there you go. All right, so that was wrist shots. Next up, we have trending watches. This is a great segment. So what we do is we allow you guys to look behind the curtain into our website analytics and see the most clicked on views, clicked on watches of the week. We spent a ton in SEO. We have thousands and thousands of clients. So we determine whether or not this is a cross-section of the market, what people are looking at, or if it's just a coincidence. So let's go to the picture. Boom. All righty.
Some heavy hitters there.
Interesting. All right, Jay, why don't you start it off?
Yeah, so...
Number 5.
First and foremost, I hope you guys see that we're taking your comments on these top 5 seriously. So now we have some descriptions there for you, so you can have something to look at, as well as pictures and pricing from the website. So... yeah, let's talk about the 5712R, right? Or that's the GR, excuse me. So the two-tone.
Yeah,
I think this piece is...
It's white, gold, and rose.
Right. I think this piece is service sealed, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
On the website. So that's a stock photo, but the actual watch is service sealed on our website, which is kind of cool. So $59,950, two-tone white, gold, rose. Probably the most popular pattern watch on the world right now, the Nautilus case.
Nautilus, yeah. And this is one of the few that is listed for sale pre-owned, lower than the original retail. But so what are we seeing here? We see Rolex and Patek.
Yep.
What a surprise. Interesting. These are the watches that people are looking at. Number 4 is a ladies' Datejust. It's a vintage ladies' Datejust for $3,000. So we always like to surmise the reason is it's a Rolex for $3,000.
Yeah, 6917 reference. Just
is that right?
Tiny little, two-tone Rolex, less than $3,000.
Oh yeah, everything's two-tone here except for one.
Yeah.
Here, let's pull it back. Pull back the. Oh, look, it's behind us. Okay, so this is new technology. All right, so if you notice, everything here except the last piece is two-tone. which is interesting because two-tone traditionally has been like the third popular metal. So usually it's going to be like it'll be stainless steel, then precious metal, and then two-tone would be like the third most popular, least popular version of most watches. So we have 3 two-tone watches, 1 white, gold, and rose, steel and yellow gold Daytona, which by the way, probably my favorite Rolex. I know a lot of people are going to tell me I'm wrong about that that's a crap Rolex, but honestly...
Well, if it's your favorite, then there's really no wrong about that.
Two-tone Daytona, yellow gold, stainless, and a white dial is my favorite Rolex. For a long time it has been. All right, then we got a two-tone sub as well. That's a 16613, so it's the pre-ceramic. Again, it's probably people are looking at that in terms of a value play because what's funny is that a couple of years ago, that was a $6,000 watch,
right.
$55,000 to $6,000 watch. Now it's a $9,000 watch, so all boats rise. So a watch that has always been somewhat consistent, but not always very strong, is now growing in value. And then the last or the most popular watch, or the watch that was clicked on the most this week, is a 31 millimeter ladies Datejust, but actually it's a ladies president because it has a president bracelet. But again, so you have a full yellow gold Rolex for $7,000. That's probably the reason why that one's been clicked on so often.
It's a pretty piece and definitely has some wrist presence. I think the 31 millimeter is probably the thing that's revealed when people click on it. Thinking it's a full size.
Sure.
But $69.50. Buy it for your wife or your other woman.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm seeing some comments here before we get into the meat of the show, which will be next. Steve Bowden says there is no bubble and it will not be popping. That's an optimistic view. Seems like Steven is a bull.
I got a bunch of watches to sell you.
Is that right?
Yeah, you should call me.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's get to the meat of the show. Next segment will be our topic for this week, which will be the Rolex and Patek bubble. So Jason, in looking at the bubble and understanding it, I think one thing that I did, and I put together a little list of watches to show kind of the scope of the bubble, to see kind of where things were and then where things are now. Do we have the graphic here, guys? All right. So here we got a list of watches that are a good representation of what is popular. You can see some common themes here. Stainless steel for the most part, except for the last one, but from a brand that really doesn't make stainless watches. In fact, they don't make stainless watches. You can see a cross section. So what I did was I went through our inventory, our history records, and I found confirmed sales at certain points in time to show kind of where the market was and where the market is. So let's start with the Daytona. And I think that it makes sense to start with the Daytona because in a lot of ways, the Daytona is what kind of really cemented this, the upswing in the watch value, right?
Yeah, definitely the catalyst to what we call the bubble, or like the major, market shift.
Sure.
So Daytona, many of you know, so we're starting like October
2017. Well, let's take a step back real quick. So I think in 2015 we started noticing the 5711, the Nautiluses.
Sure.
2016 roughly, probably shortly after an inauguration for a certain gentleman.
Making watches great again.
Making watches great again. So there began an uptick in the economy, right? And then at the same time, we noticed an uptick in some of the values for watches, which is somewhat normal. We've seen this. The watch trading world kind of follows the economy in some ways because discretionary income is used to buy these things, right?
Sure.
So 2016, we started noticing 5711s started going up in value. So let's pull that graphic back up again. And you can see, so for example, September 2016, okay, the 5711 Nautilus was, we sold one for $25,235. So a little bit over list. And this was a watch that for a long time, so say after 2008, which was, it was a nightmare, right, for the entire economy, including
Sure.
the watch world. So we saw a full recovery. essentially of the economy, and then starting roughly 2016, 2015, 2016, these watches, Patek, the Nautilus was one of the strongest pieces that you could buy in terms of resale in regards to the original retail price. So it was roughly a $24,000 retail. The watch sold, give or take, depending on the time period, at or above retail. So we have a confirmed sale of $25,235. In fact, I think I made that sale. And that was a good sale for us at that time. Yeah. Today, the watches are easily trading at $60,000. So that's roughly, a 3.5-year period where you see a more than doubling of the watch's value. So that was the first one I remember. It started going up. All right, so now let's get back to the Daytona. So the watch world value started, inching their way up, and watches started becoming a little bit more valuable. So October 2017, Paul Newman, a watch that belonged to him that was gifted to someone else, or I think it was gifted to him, I can't remember the story, sold at auction for the most any Rolex had ever sold, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was
like $17.8 million, I believe.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I guess. There's a lot of things I'd buy for $17.8 million, maybe not an old Daytona.
Yeah.
All right, so that was in the headlines, not just in the watch world, but in Forbes. It was across across all platforms. That was thrown out there, and people were. Everybody, it was a lot of attention was given to this sale, right?
Right. It was for the first time in a long time, the watch world made other people's headlines. Mm-hmm. And people that didn't even know watches cost more than $10,000 probably. We're talking about a $17 million watch. It's crazy, right? So similar to I don't know a lot about art, but here comes a $2 million piece of art that's this big, and all of a sudden I'm talking about it. So what was cool is it kind of
expose the world.
Put watches on the map, not just the Daytona, but watches in general, and stainless steel watches that could be worth that kind of money. So, very, very interesting to see that being the start of the bubble,
right?
More or less.
So I remember these things. So let's pull the graphic back up again. All right. So the Daytona. So first the Nautilus, slowly Daytona sells 17 for Paul Newman Daytona for $17 million, and then shortly after this iteration of the watch itself, and I didn't put the ceramic Daytona here on purpose because there is the watch never sold at retail,
right?
Other than through the retailers, but it was never trading at retail; it was always trading above, right? So you can see April 2015, we sold this watch for $9,000, and that was a good sale. The watch had a 12.4 retail, same as it does now, the ceramic bezel, and it was. Dealers would pay between $7,000 and $8,000 to resell them for about $9,000, and that was how the world went. And in fact, that was an example of very good value retention in the watch world. So if you can buy a watch for $12,400, maybe get a small discount at that point, and then resell it for $7,000 to $8,000 to a reseller or $9,000 to an end consumer, that was good value retention.
What's interesting is what I would consider the pre-ceramic version birthed the bubble, and then the ceramic version was the first Rolex that was born in the bubble.
Okay, I like that.
So the ceramic Rolex was the first one to come to life and instantaneously be double retail.
Yeah.
So some kind of poetry there. Yeah. In the fact that they're both Daytonas.
It's interesting. Yeah, I like that. All right. So the next watch that we saw like a moving of the market on was the Aquanaut. So the Aquanaut traditionally sold below retail. This is a watch that, same as the Rolex, the Nautilus was always at the top, right around retail, was hovering maybe a little bit below, depending. The Aquanaut, which was not a very popular watch, I believe. I mean, I remember. I only went back to 2015. If we go farther back, 2012, this watch was trading probably below $15,000, between $13,000 and $14,000 on the resale market. So the Aquanaut, another Patek sport watch, this was on a rubber strap. And to be honest with you, now people think of, when they think of a watch brand, they think of their steel sport models, but Patek is not. They're not known for making steel sport watches, right?
Right. So I mean, the funny thing is that people, when you say Paddock, most people think those two watches, Nautilus first,
Right.
Calatrava was realistically so realistically, it's a very small percentage of what the brand makes is what consists of the bubble. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of Paddock models that don't trade anywhere close to the retail price.
Right.
And watches that are much more substantial, right? So it just so happens that the market trend is for these pieces, and it just goes to show you that a 3-hand time-only stainless steel watch, which doesn't have the same horological significance as something like an annual or perpetual calendar,
Sure.
that trades over retail, it is a bubble. It can't be anything but
Seems like
a bubble.
Yeah.
Because you're not buying the value
for
proposition,
dollars,
right?
Yeah, the value for dollars not there.
I for one, I mean, when you look at this compared to, I'm lucky enough, and a lot of people aren't, to have seen both of them side by side, a Nautilus and an Aquanaut together. For the longest time, I've always championed the Aquanaut. I like the case better. I like the way it fits my wrist better.
Sure.
When all things are equal, I like the Aquanaut better. But it needs to live on that rubber band. The bracelet is not my thing for that watch.
Well,
but
so that actually is reflected in the trading price,
Right.
because if a lot of times, if you get the watch on a bracelet, sometimes they're trading actually below the watch on a strap, because people are buying that watch, discarding the bracelet or saving the bracelet, and having to go buy a strap and a new strap and buckle, which is roughly $1,000.
No.
So we're seeing them actually trade
strap
down.
and buckle total, you're looking at like $2,200. The buckle and the strap, each one is like
I think you're wrong about that.
No,
I ordered it recently.
It's at least $1,900 for a buckle and a strap.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Because
so maybe I'm wrong.
I've sold 2 Aquanauts and ordered 2 sets of straps for John. Because it's not just the strap and the buckle; you also need the end links as well. There's
Okay.
special end links that take the. So
I'll defer to Jason because he seems like he's very confident.
I'm very confident. It's all a ruse, but no. But so, anyways, I mean, they're both pretty watches. Obviously, the the Aquanaut is kind of the stepchild for most people. Like the Nautilus is the watch, the steel watch, and I feel like a lot of people default to the Aquanaut because it's like that stainless steel watch they can get and not pay $50,000 for.
Well, but I think that's for that exact reason, what you just stated is why the Aquanaut has become more popular, in my opinion, than the Nautilus, because number one, it's more wearable. If you want to buy like an everyday wear, having a watch on a strap, a rubber strap, actually makes a little bit more sense in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about scratching up the bracelet like crazy. All right, so we see started with the Nautilus in the middle there, then Daytona, Aquanaut as well, and so the next watch I want to talk about, I guess, would be, let's do the 5980. So the 5980, this was a watch that pre-2016 or pre-2017,
right,
or even pre-2018, was actually not a very desirable watch. This watch sold well below the original retail price. It was known as being a little top heavy. If you bought the watch to wear, the actual head of the watch is very heavy. The bracelet tapers, and so you have to wear it really tight on your wrist. So if you don't like to wear the watch very tight on your wrist, it does move. So
it was the fat version of the 5711. It was like top heavy, it's thick, it's uncomfortable. So
I like the watch personally, by the way.
It's cool looking. I think if you're going to spend the kind of money that you're going to spend on a 5711, then the 5980 makes more sense, because I'd rather have some substance for the money.
Sure.
But
what are we looking at? So we have a confirmed sale in March of 2016 through, I believe this is actually through Watch You Want back in the older days, and $39,000, which was a very good sale at that point. Right, so dealers would buy that watch for between probably $30,000 and $35,000, and sell that watch for between, say, $36,000 and $39,000. That was the normal market for that watch at that time. Today, if you look at Chrono24, eBay, across all platforms with other dealers, the watch is trading right around $110,000.
So also the $39,000 is important to note that that's finding a home.
Right.
That watch is
We're talking about retail
right.
prices.
That watch is living with somebody at 30. It's not liquid at 39. That was all the money then.
Yeah, that was a good sale.
You were selling that to a customer.
Right.
Then it wasn't to another dealer.
Yeah, I want to be clear. The numbers we're talking about these are all retail prices. So these are confirmed sales to retail customers, people who wanted to wear the watch, and in the back in the 2015, 2016, some 2017s, and now what it would cost to wear that watch today. All right, so you can see Patek has exploded in value. I mean, there's huge gulfs between what they were trading for in just a few years ago and what they're trading for now. All right. Next thing I would say, let's see here. So the Chronomètre Bleu. So FP Journe is a very interesting brand in terms of our feelings about the brand. I would say Godberg is actually somewhat responsible for the increase in value for this watch, because we believed in the brand, and we've been buying these watches. We believe in the man, and I think we've helped grow this brand. So the CB, as it's known as the Chronomètre Bleu, was a watch that $22,000 retail which was a watch was you can easily get this watch for below retail trading, and you could probably even get a small discount if you were buying it directly from Journe back 2015, 2016. So we have a confirmed sale in January 2015, sale to a customer. We made this sale at $18,000 for a good condition, a mint condition box and papers CB. Today, if you want to buy one, you're spending north of $30,000.
Absolutely.
So it's still production piece. And let me see here. So let's go back real quick. The watches that have been discontinued so far on this list are going to be the Daytona at the far end. The 5980 steel has been discontinued. The 15400 blue, which will probably be the last one we talk about. The Snoopy, I guess because it's a limited run, you would call that discontinued.
Yep.
So those are the watches that are discontinued. But the 5711 production piece, 5167A production piece, and the CB is also a production piece. So never before have we really seen production pieces, not like application pieces, but these are real production pieces well above their list price. So January 2015, that watch found a home for $18,000. Seems reasonable. Made of tantalum, very hard to make. The watch, those dials, you're getting a boutique manufacturer. At that time, they were making probably 600 to 700 watches a year, and they weren't known as well as they are now. But you're getting a time only with sub-seconds watch, no date, $18,000. Today, if you want to wear that watch, you're paying more than $30,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a 2015 variation with the older dial, you're definitely paying $30,000. You're probably up
you think people are noticing that now that they're two different dials?
I feel like I've at least talked to 2 or 3 people who could get a CB for a certain amount but they don't want the newest dial. They want the older dial. Because there is definitely a distinction between the two. I think that the part of the story of that is of why this watch is as expensive as it is the dial production. Obviously, we all know, and that's what made the watch super hot. So having the pre-dial versus the in-house Journe dial
more limited,
makes it kind of a cool story. We could talk all day as to whether or not the watch is worth $30,000, but we're doing a show against a bubble concept, so I would say not.
Well, in my opinion, if I'll add that out of all these watches on the table or on the screen here, I would say in terms of their market price and value for dollars, I think the CB might be the best one. You get the highest level of finishing, the lowest production pieces, and are very hard. I guess I don't know if tantalum is a rare metal, but it's extremely hard to work with. If you want to get that watch refinished, so if you decide to scratch that watch up and want to get it refinished, I think it's 6 to 9 months at the factory in Journe. And when I went to go visit there with Tim, there's literally one room that has all the equipment. It's like 8 machines that are used to refinish just the CB, just the tantalum. Yeah. And it's one guy, he sits there, and every day he'll do a little bit more to refinish. So,
and now they have they released a tantalum buckle, the point buckle for this watch. Point buckle. Which is weird to me. It's very expensive, but it's weird to me because the tantalum is easily marable. So that's the one, you can mark it up. It's marble. So you can mark it up.
It's an interesting word.
Very easily. So to make it the point buckle out of it is ballsy.
Yeah, is it brittle at all? I wonder.
It's not brittle.
Like ceramic.
No, it won't crack because it's metal alloy, but it will leave a nasty.
You know a lot about tantalum, don't you, Jason?
Do you
have any knives made of tantalum, Jason?
No, but what's the Tantalum Panerai? I forget the
192.
reference. The 192. So I sold
How do I know
one
that?
of the.
Why do I know that? Probably should.
You're just the greatest.
The only person.
I sold one of the original 192s straight from new.
Oh. That's nice, Jason.
Yeah,
all right.
So that's before people knew what tantalum was.
Really? You were the only one.
I knew.
Yeah. You know a lot of things, Jason. Yeah, 192. Okay, good. I was right. All right. All right. Oh, I want to give a shout out to my boy Shelby in the comments. Thanks for sticking up for me and also FP Journe. It's as if maybe you own one of those watches or something. Who knows? Okay.
We all know which watch Shelby prefers on our wrist, though.
That's right. He's got the Note 8 sub. Oh, jeez.
What's up, Shelby?
All right. So the last 2 watches on the list, if we pull up the graphic again, so we see the all right. So the Royal Oak is one that's interesting, and the bubble. So it's a little bit different, right? So they changed the way that they're doing doing business, which affected the brand equity a lot.
Right.
So they got like a double push, right? So this is a boutique only 15400, which is the previous version, now discontinued, blue dial, time and date, automatic. It's not a fully in-house movement, I don't believe. 41 millimeter stainless steel watch. Again, this watch comes in what I guess 4 variants. It has the blue, has the silver, the black, and the ruthenium dials. All discontinued, but the blue has always been only boutique only, whereas now essentially all their watches are boutique only. So that watch was a December 2016 sale, 15.5. And if you go back farther, like 2012, it was even lower. You buy that watch on the resale market around 12,000. It's a 17.8 retail from AP. So the retail was $17,800, and the watch would sell just below retail at $15,500 would be, what you'd have to shell out in order to wear the watch. Today, you got to spend $28,000 to wear that watch. Is it worth $28,000?
I don't think so.
If you're spending the same money, so if you got roughly $30,000 to spend, are you buying the Journe or are you buying the AP?
I'm buying the Journe.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I think there's still value for dollars there, whereas in the AP, it's just, now it's just a status
Especially
piece.
with where the company's at right now and the uncertainty to whether or not this new boutique vertical strategy is going to work. There's a lot of people on the edge.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that are waiting to see what's going to happen with the 15500. There's people that are holding off for the 38 millimeter chronograph. So I don't know that the 15400 blue, like how much more you have to pay for the blue one versus a black, makes sense. But.
Sure, absolutely. And I just want to correct. So Russell, where is he? Russell Washington asked, isn't the Tantalum Panerai the 172? They both are. So, if I have to guess, I think you did mention you were talking about the first Tantalum Panerai. So yes, that would be a correction. It's a 172, which is the non-chrono, which is the time only. The 192 is a chrono.
Chrono, yeah.
All right, both made of tantalum. And why you'd want a huge hunk of basically unpolishable tantalum on your wrist? It's very heavy. I don't know. I love Panerai.
But it makes you dive faster.
Yeah, right. You got an anchor on your wrist. It's like having like a huge gold Panerai, which I actually have.
511.
Yeah, nice. But Panerai makes some interesting choices. There's nothing they could do to kind of kill my love for Panerai. They could.
What they could do
start making
is re-release a bronzo that they're going to produce every year in some kind of brown dial color, and then just make a bunch of them.
No, they would never do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Oh, God. All right. And then the last watch we're going to talk about in terms of putting the scope of the bubble is the Mega Snoopy. So even Omega has profited from this situation. And why this watch became a $25,000 watch? No effing clue. It's a Speedmaster. It's got Snoopy. We all love Snoopy. In fact, I just got a new puppy. We call him Snoopy. We love Snoopy. That watch is not worth $25,000 unless you're an Omega collector. But so that was a watch. If you pull the graphic back up again, that was a watch that in 2017 so it's a $7,500 retail. 2017 confirmed sale. Actually, I made this sale to a friend of mine. We're gonna call him Michael. That's his name. Paid $13,500 for that watch. I think he sold it. Ended up selling it like a month later for $13,000. So it cost him $500 to own it. If he had only held on to that watch for a little bit more, he would have made some money on that thing. But so in May 2017, so the watch was re-released, caught fire. How many did they make? It was like 1969 or something.
Yeah,
like that?
it was the 1969. The year.
You sure? You sure about that, Jason? You have convinced?
Pretty sure. Not as much as earlier in the show.
So it's probably wrong. All right. So it was I guess a limited edition Omega, which means 2,000 of them were made roughly.
Well, that means every year we get a limited edition.
Right.
We get half a dozen limited edition Omegas. So
we don't know which ones are going to go up, but for whatever reason, this one exploded in
This
value.
one stuck. Special shout out to a friend of ours, CQ.
Oh yeah.
Who has a horrible story about this watch.
So his story was this: he had a chance to buy one of these watches at dealer cost. Okay,
from the person he was working from at
well
the time.
less than the $7,500 retail price. He had a chance, and he says, don't like it. Well, would have bought him a car that he needs, probably. So that's the last watch we're seeing. That, this is the scope of the bubble. All right, you can call it a bubble. You don't have to call it a bubble. Whatever it is, it's a massive increase in value of, for the most part, stainless steel sport watches.
I did see in the comments real quick. I just want to
show me your dog.
It pulled up.
You leave my dog alone.
Way too fast. But somebody was saying that the Snoopy is collectible, not a bubble watch.
Okay.
So that's why the price. Now I won't disagree with you on that. But what I will say is the bubble, or whatever you want to call it, the fluctuation in the market, the bubble is what opened the concept to people paying these kind of numbers over retail.
Yeah.
For stainless steel watches.
Right.
So if Rolex wasn't up, if AP wasn't up, if Patek wasn't up, if all these stainless steel watches weren't crazy, don't think that watch is where it is now. But hey, it's I don't know. It should come with a bracelet.
Oh, I've seen the watch on a bracelet.
Yeah.
It's actually fantastic. Actually, my friend Michael, who purchased this watch, put the watch on a bracelet.
As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people don't know there's a Snoopy before this Snoopy.
Oh, yes.
Which I actually like better than this one.
Well, that was a watch that when this Snoopy was released, you could buy online easily anywhere you wanted for about $3,500. Now it's a $15,000 watch.
Yeah. Well, last time I saw it, which was a while ago, they were like $9,800.
So hold on. So let me address that then. So if the Snoopy is collectible, I guess because it's limited, so now is the 5980 collectible? Is the 116520 collectible because it's been it's limited? Or is the 15400 collectible?
Neither one of those were numbered.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
But
I got you.
At the same time, 10% of numbered limited edition Omegas stick.
Not even.
And all the other ones fall by the wayside. Look at what the Ultraman's doing right now, and that's the most recent, the new CK2998. I know, I'm saying, like they didn't stick. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that this stuck just means it's the rare bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's when you look at the watch, I feel like it's the type. Well, I'm kind of like this with all Speedmasters, but I feel like it's the kind of watch that I'd be like, all right, it's really cool, I like it, but it's not worth owning for $20,000. It's just.
Well, it depends if it's part of part of a larger collection.
Sure, if you're a completionist, I guess. But
wow, completionist. Well, is that an indictment of my character, Jason? All right. So, question now. Do we want to talk about if the bubble will pop, or do you want to end the show right now, Jason? So, will the bubble pop? So, I think, what do you think it'll be tied to? If and when it pops, or say it's a slow release of air out of this bubble,
I think
when will it happen?
Yeah, so I think the thing that started the bubble, it ends the bubble.
What's that, Jason?
Just
Donald?
economic influx. So you start looking at stuff like, we've talked before about like stock market and the bond market.
Sure.
And, what's going to happen to discretionary spending and income, and people get scared. And even if you are a 1% type guy, right, and you have, untapped funds, you're still going to take note of the market.
A rich guy like you.
Yeah, that's definitely me. You're still going to take note of the market, right?
Sure.
Because if you have the money, you're going to take advantage of the market.
Sure.
So you're going to stop spending. You're going to stop spending crazy money on watches. You're going to wait 6 months until everything's cheap. So I think that you're probably, I don't know. I don't want to say.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Is Vacheron Constantin the brand in the chat box right now? There's someone named Vacheron Constantin with the Vacheron logo.
I would venture to guess not.
No. I'm going to pretend that is actually Vacheron Constantin. Hey, guys, send me a free watch. All right, sorry. So what were you saying?
No, just he was the best. Yeah, that's definitely not Vacheron Constantin. Because you just lost all credibility there. No, so I think that
we're
market fluctuation is basically going to take care of the bubble. And, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would imagine that's probably in the next 18 months or so.
So if and when the bubble pops, so say it's tied to the economy, people have less discretionary income to spend on these things, and the prices stop going up, right? That will signify, I guess, like the beginning of the bubble popping. How low do you think it goes? Do you think this set like a new high water mark or does this go back to where it was before? It goes below, or does it stay at a higher level?
I think they stay at a higher level because you've now reestablished a baseline for what the watch's all-time high was, right? But so do they drop back to where they were 5 years ago? I don't think so. I think you're probably looking at like a 40% reduction. You probably retain 10 or 15% over where they were 5 years ago.
So which one of these watches will sell below their original retail again, if you had to guess?
That'd be tough. First, I would say the 15400. Because my thought process there is that I feel like of everything that's there, AP is the most susceptible to brand failure. So
1159s have not really shipped yet, have they?
Well, not only that alone, but like I talked about the structure of the company. So I'm not saying that they're gonna go bankrupt or anything, but I do think they're going to be subject to more criticism and more scrutiny. So of everything that's there, like you can't like the Snoopy will never sell for $7,500, right? It's never going to go back down that low.
How low? If you make a prediction right now,
$9,000
on the spot. So you think it'll be a $9,000 watch?
Yeah.
I think it'll be more than that, but I think it'll be.
I think
more
9
than 10,
is safe.
10 to 12.
Yeah.
I can see it going down.
I mean, if you're going to point your finger at it and say, make a prediction right now, I'm going to go safe, and I think $9,000 is safe.
You're always trying to be. You're a prepper.
Okay.
All right, so here, let's go along the. Let's
Sure.
make predictions here. All right, so Snoopy,
And pull
you
that
think?
graphic back up, or
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
People have been staring at this graphic. So the Snoopy, you think it'll be below 10? I'd say it's over 10, less than 15.
okay.
All right. What about the CB?
I think the CB. So I guess it really depends on if it's still made and what iteration it is when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's probably back down to like something reasonable, like
Above retail, though?
21 grand, something like that.
So you think it'll trade below retail?
Just slightly.
So I believe that based on a few factors, that is, the brand only makes 900 watches a year. The brand awareness is still growing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we think everybody knows about FP Journe, but nobody knows about FP
Right.
Journe. So as the brand gets
it's
a
a
little bit more
valid point,
popular,
yeah.
if it keeps moving, I'd say the watch is always ever going to trade probably right around the mid 20s. But I could see it staying in the $30,000 range because in my opinion, I think the people who buy that watch, for the most part, are not scrounging together their last few dollars to get that watch.
Right.
That's not a
Yeah, I
Rolex
guess
to
it's a
flash.
good
They're
opinion.
not going flashy, right? So guys who are buying that are watch guys, whereas maybe the Rolexes and the Pateks and the APs, you have people who aren't watch guys, people who are speculating. They're buying thinking that the value is going up, and they don't really even care about watches. I think that's where you're getting.
Yeah, I could
that
see
value.
that being, the brand being presented being an option, but also we have to remember Blue has been popular for a long time.
Sure.
So it's also based on fashion too. So Blue could be on its way out.
Makes sense.
Which a lot of people think is, and if that's a year from now or 2 years from now, that could be an effect too.
Sure, I got you.
So
All
if we
right.
see like a CB with a green dial or something like that,
Ooh, you would like that,
that
wouldn't
would
you, Jason?
be awesome.
OD
Although I
green
couldn't-
to
I
wear in the
couldn't get it.
woods
I'll,
after the apocalypse
yeah.
with a tantalum knife in your mouth behind the trees. That's
You have
So I
quite an
picture-
imagination.
I have a great imagination. All right, it's all those drugs I do. So, did we talk about the 15400?
We did.
So, what do you think? Where do you think that's going to go?
I think it. I mean, so if the 15500 is very successful, then I see the 15400 staying very strong.
Okay, I agree with you. All right, next one, 5711. So, first of all, do you think in the next 2 years they discontinue that watch?
I think, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So right now it's a $29,000 retail. Do you think it trades below retail ever again?
Probably not.
Maybe not in our lifetimes. Not in any type of foreseeable future. I think that at $60,000, or there was one that sold at auction. I don't even want to bring it up because it just makes me sick. A $69,000 auction result. It's like, what? Like, dude, I understand if you want the watch, and maybe you're made of money. There's just no reason to spend $70,000
That's the type of dude
on the
that
watch.
like outbids himself.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like he's
That's
just,
a guy who's a lot of fun, and we're gonna go to Dubai together, and do unspeakable things together. So, do I think it probably goes back down? Maybe I could see it trading maybe $35,000-$40,000. I don't know. It's kind of the market price. I hate to say it this way, but the market price has actually kind of soured me on the watch itself.
Yeah.
All right, $59.80. Steel already been discontinued. $110,000 market price right now. Where does that go, Jay?
I think it drops probably somewhere in the 85s,
Really?
90s.
My gut says that
I don't know.
ends up being a $50,000 watch in one day,
Yeah.
which is still more than market price, but well less than what it is
110
now.
for that watch is just astronomically odd number to me. It's one of those pieces that's like,
People are chasing it,
it's crazy, dude.
right? Yeah, it's a cool watch. Is it $110,000 cool? Not for me, bro. But also, I don't have $110,000 to spend on a watch, so I guess it's not really my
I mean, I don't think we're buying.
my place to talk about.
You or I are buying any of these anytime soon.
Hey, you watch your mouth. I'll buy that Daytona. So actually, I love that Daytona. I like the two-tone version, which sells below retail. So
you won't buy it.
I will not buy that watch, Jason. You've corrected me. So the Aquanaut right now sells for roughly $30,000, maybe a little bit less. $18,750 retail, or did they raise that retail? I can't remember. I think they might have raised
Yeah,
it.
I think it did get raised.
So it's over 20 retail, maybe. Does that ever sell at or below retail?
Yeah, I could see it coming back down to selling like maybe a slight premium, maybe like $1,000 over retail.
Somebody's
like
asking what the best strip club in Dubai is. I think maybe there's no strip clubs in Dubai because of the religious restrictions. So let's reword that. Miami. Same thing, Miami. All right. So sorry, I interrupted you. The Aquanaut. You think that where does that go?
I think after a while you start seeing that sell still for a slight premium, but somewhere like $1,000, maybe $2,000 over retail.
So like low 20s.
Yeah.
All right. The last one on the list, and the one that we have the best chance of obtaining, would be the Rolex Movement 116520,
right?
All stainless bezel Daytona. Right now, there's as high as $18,000, which like just 2 weeks ago there were 15. So like, this is just shooting up. And discontinued. Discontinued. Where do we go with that?
I think this watch remains pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a watch that's much older than this, like the El Primeros, stay very strong.
Dude, well, again, so we didn't talk about the El Primeros, so we talked about that for 10 seconds here. El Primeros used to be, nobody gave a shit that they had zenith movements because, by the way, I can buy a chronograph with an El Primero movement for $2,500, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So can you. But, obviously it's Rolex. And people look for, different. They're looking for
something that makes it special.
Something that makes it special. There you go.
Yeah.
So, but those watches used to trade 5 years ago. Man, those would trade below the Rolex Movement models. Nobody gave a shit that it was.
Because 5 years ago they wanted the newest one possible.
Exactly.
And now you want the oldest one possible. Yeah.
Oh, we got Watch Doctor knows what he's talking about. That's right, buddy. Dean's Gold, I think, is like the spot to go to now because Scarlett's is no good and neither is Tootsie's. So the Daytona right now trades for 18. Does that go over 20? I hope not.
I don't know. I guess so. We'll see what happens with the all-in bubble, and if the ceramics will definitely come down after a while, and I think that'll affect some of these. I think the El Primero's untouchable.
Sure.
I think this piece will stay strong, but it'll fluctuate a little bit.
Right. Sorry. By the way, I got distracted before. Zeniths are selling at $25,000 and above. Right now, those are watches that used to sell for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, right? So we see what happened here. We have the scope of the bubble. We kind of took you through the history of where these things used to trade at, where they trade at now. Our thoughts are it will certainly have to come down. When we don't know. I guess election results will certainly be a factor. So vote accordingly. I guess depending on who you like there, buddy, and what you're looking for. But I think that'll be a factor. I think stock market. Also, I think that there's a little bit of fatigue in terms of price fatigue. People are a little bit tired of seeing well, I thought they would be a little bit tired of seeing 5711s sell for insane amounts of money. I guess I was wrong. $69,000 sale price. But for all of our sake, I mean, it's fun to see these things go up in value like a rocket, right? But I'd like them to go down a little bit, so it's kind of stressful for us.
I think, not only that, but for the health of the market in the long term, and getting more people involved and having it still remain something fun and a hobby. I think that the market correction is necessary. And will it hurt a little bit at first? Yes. I mean, it's going to hurt everybody, mostly smaller dealers at first, but. Sure. For the market to be, fun and enjoyable for the next 10, 15 years and make the industry viable, I think it has to happen. Otherwise, we're just burning way too hot, way too quick. And you end up...
They're becoming unattainable for anybody, even for the rich guys.
Right, so like 80% of the guys that are buying these wouldn't be so if it was, what I mean? Like, they're just going to burn themselves out. So maybe 2 years from now, they're just not into watches because it's not fun anymore. So the market needs to correct.
Rich, so one last thing, and we'll go ahead and end this show because our producer is... He's chugging vodka behind the camera here, getting ready for his night out. Rich Buddy says, if there's a bad economy, that only means that brands like Rolex will only produce less. A bad economy will not affect prices. So one thing about Rolex you have to know is that they don't, like this bubble, people are like, oh, Rolex is withholding inventory or they're making less. This is not true. They're making as many watches as they have ever made. They don't base production and distribution on the current market. They never have.
If there's one brand that does not care about what anybody else thinks outside of the brand, it's Rolex.
Yeah.
They do what they want when they want.
Well, people are getting upset because I mentioned socialism, which I don't think I did. Hey, guys.
I'm not sure that I don't recall
if you're getting your panties in a wad, make sure to tune in next week. All right, guys, we're done. Don't forget to subscribe. We're at 74,000 subscriptions, guys. We want to get to 75. You know why? I don't care. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have, if you want to actually learn things from somebody who knows what he's talking about, go to the Watchbox Reviews. Tim will show you every watch there is. He's doing reviews on De Bethune today, which we love, and we're all in on De Bethune.
Awesome stuff.
Subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook. Jason finally has an Instagram. It's called Evo_watches. Good job, Jason. There you go. So he needs a few followers. I think he's got like 10 or 11 now. So let's get him up to 15. Follow me. I'm Mr. Thanos at Mr. Thanos. You can, you can check us out on Facebook as well. You can get us on Grubhub, Uber Eats. You can get us